Happy Friday, members of the Altcoin Buzz Army and TGIF. The market is kind of flat, maybe a little bit down right now, but it doesn't really matter because we are covering positive macro news today. Ethereum's testnet, as you know, is now live, and many are indicating that we're now well on our way to new all-time highs now that Ethereum 2.0 is starting to take shape. We have nation states like Israel that are in fact using Ethereum and that network in terms of creating their new CBDC, central bank digital currency. In the case of Israel, their digital shekel. We have major investment news from Andreessen Horowitz, one of the largest and the most successful venture capital firms in the world. They are more bullish on cryptocurrency than ever. Many analysts are suggesting that we're entering now into the more explosive phases of BTC's Wyckoff distribution. And then, of course, you have individuals like Nayib Bukele that are really helping this network grow. He's offering $30 to every citizen of El Salvador that goes through the KYC process and downloads the nation's official Bitcoin wallet. We will also be discussing updates when it comes to Enjin and their new view of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, of course. And also, this is the last day to participate in our $50 Ethereum giveaway. Stay tuned for that at the end of the video. If you like this kind of content, guys, be sure to like and subscribe to Altcoin Buzz News. Okay, so for whatever reason, despite all the positivity, Ethereum is actually taking a small hit above and beyond some of the other altcoins out there at $1,858, down 5.7% on the day. I don't really know why. Taking a look at Yahoo Finance, they're discussing how the run to $9,000 for every Ethereum was delayed. Get ready for the next try. This is more or less just an analytical piece, sort of a chart analysis. In this case, the author is bullish. He feels that we're going to set new all-time highs in the very near future. Take a look at this if it interests you. What interests me quite a bit more is the fact that Ethereum 2.0 is now really starting to take shape. Of course, the testnet is here. What does this ultimately mean? The fact that we're going to get up to 10,000 transactions per second, that, not so much recently, but that is going to alleviate a lot of these network congestion issues that we've been feeling. The network has been getting a lot better as of late, but I think what's even more important sort of at maybe an investor and even an institutional investor level is the fact that Ethereum 2.0 will fulfill the dream of being a deflationary asset, and it's going to deflate annually to the tune of about, I think it's 1.5%, which means that about 1.6 or so, somewhere in that neighborhood, 1.6 million Ethereum will be taken off the market every year. So that is to say 1.6 fewer Ethereum will be available every year. And then, of course, as we transition into a full POS, a full proof of stake ecosystem, the only real way to, command Ethereum and to generate more of them will be to hold. And thus the incentive really will be on individuals to hold and to stake their Ethereum, I should say, rather. Take a look at this. Over 100,000 Ether, about $200 million staked in Ethereum 2.0 in a single day. This courtesy of CryptoPotato.com. So data from CryptoQuant revealed yesterday that more than 100,000 Ether was sent to the Ethereum 2.0 deposit contract in a single day. With the new staking, the total value of ETH now locked up in the ETH2 contract is currently more than 5% of the cryptocurrency's entire circulating supply. That is a significant figure. If you're hearing about this ETH 2.0 talk for the first time, here's the rundown. The ETH 2.0 upgrade was initiated to address some of the pressing issues of the Ethereum network, such as scalability and high gas fees. The network-wide upgrade will introduce sharding to improve Ethereum's efficiency and scalability, which is going to ensure that the network will use parallel processing by breaking up data verification tasks among various sets of nodes, with each being responsible for verifying only the data it received. More importantly, in my opinion, and as the article continues, additionally, Ethereum will be making a shift from the extremely complex and power-intensive proof of work, or POW consensus mechanism, to the more efficient proof of stake algorithm. The move to a POS mechanism means that ETH 2.0 will become an eco-friendly blockchain. So we have multiple variables now that are going to be working in favor of Ethereum, in addition to whatever the chart analysts have to say. but POS more environmentally friendly, more climate friendly. And just from a tokenomics perspective, the deflationary aspect of that in conjunction with the higher TPS transactions per second, it's easy to forget that all of this stuff is kind of up and coming in the very near future, but here we are. This is really about to take shape. And look, not financial advice, but given that we touched, I think, $4,400 per Ethereum, I think $1,858 is an absolute steal right now, with all of these positive elements looming for the network and for the project. Just my point of view. We also have this news here. Israel is officially testing a national CBDC on the Ethereum network. Taking a look at this development here, the Bank of Israel is planning to use Ethereum technology for their digital shekel. This is according to a report. We're on bnnbloomberg.ca. So the Bank of Israel adopted Ethereum tech for an internal pilot run of the digital shekel. The Israeli Financial Daily Globes reported without saying where it got the information. The central bank spokesman was not immediately available for comment. Ethereum was the first blockchain to host fully functional computer programs known as smart contracts that allow users to create new cryptocurrencies. So there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of information about this yet. Possibly this was a leaked news story. We don't exactly know for the time being, but wouldn't that be something? For the most part, I'm actually seeing reports of central banks and their CBDC initiatives, but central banks especially coming out and railing against cryptocurrencies, going to war with cryptocurrencies, because in many ways, CBDCs represent kind of on the inverse side of the spectrum, something that is much more centralized. Even though it's digital, even though it may be based on some cryptography, CBDCs are going to be very controlled and very centralized. So colloquially, you can't really call them cryptocurrencies, in my opinion, again, even if they're based on similar blockchain tech, because they represent the height of centralization. Wouldn't it be interesting if Israel decides to move in another direction, or at least to implement Ethereum in a way that some of the other central banks are not? Not really a whole lot more to discuss at the moment, but that possibly could be a very good sign moving forward for the Ethereum network, in addition to all this other great news that we've been discussing. I want to mention this as well at a macro level. Andreessen Horowitz, one of the largest and the most successful venture capital firms, this on CNBC.com. They've launched Andreessen Horowitz, that is a $2.2 billion crypto fund, and they are, quote, radically optimistic despite price fluctuations, because they're not looking at the narrow present view of things, they're looking to the future. So the Silicon Valley venture capital firm just announced that $2.2 billion cryptocurrency-focused fund. Quote, we believe that the next wave of computing and innovation will be driven by crypto. That's according to partner Katie Hahn and Chris Dixon. Andreessen's first crypto-focused fund was launched 3 years ago during the last bear market, now known as crypto winter. And that's exactly when you want to launch these initiatives. You don't launch these initiatives and you aggressively go after everything at all-time highs. You get your tentacles. I don't mean that disparagingly, but right, you get your feet and your hands muddy. You get your limbs. You get your skin in the game during times when things are not so pretty, during the bear markets of the world. That's where you position yourself. That's where you get some traction, you get some footing, and when things rebound, you're in a fantastic position. That is the idea. That is exactly what smart money would do, right? Here's what they said, quote, the size of this fund speaks to the size of the opportunity before us. Crypto is not only the future of finance, but as with the internet in the early days, it is poised to transform all aspects of our lives. Wow. And we all know the story. The world's original cryptocurrency has lost roughly half of its value since its highs of about 65K in April. We're talking about Bitcoin. That's fine. But here's, again, to repeat this very important quote. We believe that the next wave of computing innovation will be driven by crypto. And they are, quote, radically optimistic about crypto's potential. Just to speak a little bit, if you're unfamiliar with Andreessen Horowitz, to speak a little bit about their track record and their pedigree. They are known for their successful early bets on companies like Facebook, Instagram, Lyft, and Pinterest. Not too bad. They also made their first move into the digital asset space through Coinbase back in 2013. Coinbase, as we all know, went public. Andreessen Horowitz is also an early investor in Facebook-backed digital currency project Libra, which has been rebranded and now is known as Diem, which has gone through a series of rebranding and faced opposition from global regulators. I think any way you slice it, you can take a look at their track record and realize that they've been very successful, that they do represent smart money. And, you know, whether or not this is an unpopular opinion, I don't know. But what smart money does is often contrarian. What smart money does is get in on the ground when things are not looking good. In fact, perhaps even when things are looking ugly, because you got to be able to take advantage of situations before that market or that particular sector that you're in attracts all of the world's attention. And arguably, when it comes to crypto, they're already too late. But at least, you know, they're issuing these kinds of comments during this, I don't want to call it a bear market right now, but during this bear trend. It's exactly what I would do if I had command and control of $2.2 billion. That is exactly what I would do. They talked about, again, to go back to this quote one more time, because I think it's very, very important. We believe that the next wave of computing innovation will be driven by crypto. They also said it's not only the future of finance, as with the internet in the early days, it's poised to transform all aspects of our lives. Okay, well, take a look at this. I think this is an interesting segue here. You may have seen this chart already, but just as a reminder, here, Danny Scott, Bitcoin is the most groundbreaking technological innovation since the internet. Whether you agree or disagree with that, I happen probably to agree. So far, I think if there's a prize to be given out for the best technological invention of the 21st century, I think it's got to go, if not to Bitcoin, at least to blockchain, the idea of blockchain. But here's what we're after in terms of the point I'm trying to make right here. Here you have two curves. I'm colorblind, so I don't know what color the colored curve is, but I see there's a white curve and there's a colored curve. Maybe it's orange. If it's not, my apologies, but that's my excuse. I'm colorblind. The white curve represents total global internet users in millions. So as you can see here, and by the way, it's logarithmic. So as you can see, it goes all the way from 1 million internet users to 10 million to 100 to 1,000 million. In other words, a billion internet users. And the white line is tracked here. It's got its own x-axis at the top. So as you can see, where we stand right now, we are here. This is, on the flip side, the Bitcoin curve, right? Right now, we're looking at somewhere between 100 and 1,000 million users. So somewhere between 100 million and a billion Bitcoin users. This is, because the chart is logarithmic, this is probably something like 200, maybe 300 million. So we are here. And that is to suggest that we are exactly in the year 2021, where, in fact, we're ahead of the curve. We are ahead of where the internet was in terms of its growth in 1997, which is pretty incredible. And not only are we ahead of where the internet was in 1997, we're actually growing at a faster and indeed an accelerating rate. 80% yearly growth. Now, of course, that's going to slow down, because once you get to a billion users, 2 billion users, 3 billion users, well, okay, assuming one day the Earth is going to have a population of 8, 9 billion, you can't be 3, 4, 5 billion users and then have a 600% growth year, right? There aren't enough people to support growth. So growth will slow down with time. But as of right now, we're looking at about an 80% average yearly growth. If you take all the numbers, you plot things, you have to honestly be able to report that, yes, right now where we are with Bitcoin, we are ahead in terms of global adoption. We are ahead of where the internet was in 1997. And not only that, but we are growing at a faster pace than the internet was back in 1997. So to that point, here are a couple actually of variables that are helping us with that growth. And this is something that is more or less breaking news as of this morning. The national Bitcoin wallet, this is of El Salvador, allows direct conversion to and from fiat to Bitcoin. Here's the interesting thing about it. El Salvador's official Bitcoin wallet. Okay, you look at that and you say, looks fancy. Here's the incentive. How about $30 in Bitcoin? El Salvador's Bitcoin law is set to take effect on September 7th, and users who download the Chivo e-wallet and verify their identity are going to get $30 worth of Bitcoin. Willy Woo here with this observation. Assuming all 4.5 million adults in El Salvador take up this offer, it's roughly a 2.5% overnight boost to Bitcoin's global user count. Documenting Bitcoin here, pointing out that President of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, has announced each registered citizen of their wallet app will receive $30 in free Bitcoin. Quote, the wallet app will even work anywhere with a cell connection, and you won't have to have a cell plan for the app. That is just an awesome step that's being taken there. So Willy Woo says 4.5 million. Those are adults specifically. CZ Binance saying 6 million people added to the crypto ecosystem in one go. Probably closer to Willy Woo's number, because if you take a look at the population of El Salvador, 6.45 million citizens. That was back from 2019. But again, not all of them are adults. So maybe it's going to be somewhere in the middle, maybe 4.5, but maybe a little bit higher, maybe 5 million people perhaps will download and adopt, hopefully, this wallet. That is a major boost to the system. So going back to the Danny Scott argument here, it could be argued that as more and more of these such initiatives are implemented, not only are we going to see faster adoption than the internet, we're going to see an accelerating rate of adoption. Because why not? The incentives and the motivations are there. In addition to that, we have some fairly positive news at the level of what the chart analysts are saying. Rect Capital here. Bitcoin continues to set higher lows on lower timeframes. BTC is still in phase C of this Wyckoff distribution, what many people are calling the Wyckoff distribution. The fit is pretty strong. And Bitcoin could try to test $33,000 as support once again for yet another higher low. Overall, Bitcoin seems to be in a transitional period between phases C and D in Wyckoff accumulation. Now that was posted a little while ago, and right now, as it would happen, we sit at $33,339. Keeps changing. Okay, $33,441 per Bitcoin. So we are down actually a couple $1,000 versus yesterday, perhaps arguably retesting that 33K zone. You never know. Rect Capital continuing here. If this truly is a Wyckoff accumulation and Bitcoin recently experienced its spring, well, then Bitcoin is now in phase C, which means BTC should soon pull back towards the 33,000 level to form its final higher low before entering phase D via the blue pathway. And then the implication is, right, phase C before entering phase D and taking off to new all-time highs. I don't want to comment too much more on the whole Wyckoff distribution because it's, like I said, I'm not a chartist. I feel news affects prices in this space much more significantly than what any chart analyst could tell you. However, that being said, from what I've seen, it seems to be almost a perfect fit between Bitcoin's pattern and the typical Wyckoff sort of initial crash, different phases of that crash, different highs, different lows, accumulation phase, and then ultimate rebound. Time will tell, I suppose, but I think there's a good argument to be made. All right, let's discuss a little bit of altcoins now. That was a lot of Ethereum and Bitcoin talk, although I guess you could say I don't consider personally Ethereum to be an altcoin. Maybe that's just the way my brain is wired, perhaps incorrectly. But Ethereum to me is you have Bitcoin, you have Ethereum, and then you have the altcoins. You may or may not agree, but that's kind of how I categorize things. Let's discuss Enjin for just a second. And they're discussing the future of NFTs, non-fungible tokens, at Enjin on Twitter. NFTs will touch everything on Earth. They are criminally undervalued. I agree. Our friends at My Metaverse wrote about the evolution of NFTs and how we are seeing a shift from simple collectibles, which I'm not really a fan at that level of NFT technology, but I do understand kind of the broader vision that Enjin has here, the deeper vision that Enjin has when it comes to NFTs, especially with these use cases such as Go Health Pro. You can read more about this here. Basically, Go Health Pro is an idea of, or I should say, representative of the kind of idea that to me speaks to the potential of NFTs. As always, with the fantastic artwork, I love it. So, this whole NFT is it's more than just a JPEG, right, that you pay millions of dollars for. The idea is that it's a health monitoring and aggregation service that helps to gamify aspects of your health. And obviously you can interact with them. It's an improvement, a life improvement NFT, you could argue. It has actual practical value. Taking a look here at a little bit of the interface and what it looks like. Anyways, it's an awesome idea, and it represents really just the tip of the innovation that we're getting out of Enjin. For more on this, check it out, mymetaverse.io. Of course, I'm going to link to this in the description below. Let's go ahead now, guys, and this is going to represent our final giveaway. So, well, I shouldn't say our final. You can comment on today's video. Our final giveaway will be tomorrow. I will be announcing the final winner, but today's video is your last on which you can comment in order to be eligible for $50 worth of ETH. With that being said, we're going to take a look at yesterday's winner right now. So for your last chance to win $50 worth of Ether, number 1, like the video. Number 2, subscribe to Altcoin Buzz News. And number 3, comment with either ETH or Ethereum. Taking a look at yesterday's video, we paid our respects to Mr. John McAfee, who was very suspiciously found suicided in his Spanish jail cell, really right after news of his extradition broke. I don't believe it for a second. You take a look at some of his posts on social media. On at least 2 occasions, he said, "I will never kill myself. I will never Epstein myself and suicide myself," are the words that he used. You could argue that that was a little while ago, and maybe things have changed because things were looking kind of bleak for the man. But my spidey sense is tingling. Let's see what happens. Let's see what shenanigans, are reported in the near future. Hopefully, Janice, his wife, his widow now, has some kind of a comment that she can issue. Whether or not she wants to get involved in this, I don't know. And why he could have been potentially suicided, I don't know. What information did he have? It can only be speculated on right now. That being said, I think it's important for us to stay on top of this story. This is one that I don't want to have disappear down the memory hole. I think it's important to keep this one alive in our discussion. So once again, rest in peace, Mr. John McAfee. The world is... the world is poor for having lost you. And I didn't always agree with the man, but he was a great influence in the space on the whole, in my opinion. So taking the URL from yesterday's video, let's copy that. Okay, I'll bring that over now into Raffle Dash. And as long as you're not a previous winner, and as long as you abided by some of those rules, that's how you win, obviously. Today's winner, $50 worth of Ethereum. Carter Walton, you are good man. ETH. Thank you, Mr. Carter. I appreciate that. So Carter, go back to yesterday's video, please. Go back and find your comment in yesterday's video, this one right here, the John McAfee, I guess, memorial video, if you want to call it. Go find your comment and reply to your own comment with the Ethereum address to which you would like us to send you your $50 worth of Ether. Congratulations, Carter. You are among really the last couple of winners that we have. Once again, in today's video, so the video that you're watching right now, you can comment on this. Our very last giveaway will be tomorrow on Saturday, the 26th of June. Yeah, that's going to about do it for us. So here's your last chance, guys. Participate in the contest. We really appreciate the engagement and your involvement so far. You have one last chance, so go for it. That is it for today, everybody. Do be sure you are following us on all the regular social media channels. Keep checking back into our website, altcoinbuzz.io, for all the latest. Like, subscribe, share, hit the bell to receive notifications if you enjoyed today's video. None of this is financial advice. You know that already, but best of luck if you do choose to invest. Stay safe, everybody. Check out these other videos that are appearing over my head right about now. Have a great one, TGIF, and as always, we do hope to see you again soon in our next video. Take care.